Section 2. Distributing Python Applications. In this section, we'll take a look at the tools needed to distribute our Python code, more specifically setup tools. We'll then use setup tools to generate a source distribution and a Python wheel in order to distribute our Python package. Next, we'll see how to build standalone executables that don't require the users to have Python installed. And finally, we'll take a look at Docker to see how we can distribute our Python applications as a reusable image. Let's jump in. Setup tools. In this video, we'll take a look at the needed files for building and distributing a Python package and some common setup tools configuration options for a successful high-quality package. As a Python developer, there's a high probability that you've used PyPI to download some super useful Python packages that enable you to do different things without reinventing the Python wheel. You'll get this joke later. Ever wondered how those packages are built? And how are they uploaded to PyPI? And how are they installed on your environment for you to use? The answer is Setuptools or setup tools. Setuptools is a built-in Python module that enables developers to build, package, and distribute their Python code. Setuptools is a third-party Python module that extends Setuptools with some more advanced features. So the basic thing is, Setuptools is very simple but is built in Python, so it has great support. Setuptools is more advanced and has very useful features, but it is not built in, so you might run into compatibility issues. We'll use Setuptools in this course, as many developers already use it as their default packaging module with fallback to Setuptools if Setuptools is not available. You'll encounter code like this pretty often. We'll make sure to highlight which features are specific to Setuptools, and we'll also mention the Setuptools alternative implementation. Let's see what we need in order to use Setuptools to package and distribute our application. You'll need a setup.py file that will be placed at the root of your project. This file will contain the necessary information to build, package, and distribute your Python code, and it also serves as an entry point to all the commands we need to run to do all that. You'll also need a README file. You should always include a README file with your package. It might sound like a small, useless thing, but keep in mind that developers usually want to get stuff done as fast as possible, so giving them a short description and quick start guide in the form of a README will be very useful. Another crucial part of your package will be the license file. This is a very important file to add to your project as it describes the rights that you as a package developer have and the rights that other people that use your code have. Choosing a license for your code should be a mandatory step before distributing it. Keep in mind that even if you release your code as open source, most companies and developers will not touch it or use it in any way if it does not have a compatible license. One last mandatory thing for setup tools is, of course, your code. Usually you would put all your code under one top-level Python package for easier distribution. There are also some optional things you can add. A manifest.in file, which describes files that should be included in your distribution, which are not included by default, and a setup.cfg file, in which you can add some default values for setup.py so that you don't have to write them in the command line all the time. Let's use setup tools for our small Flickr photo downloader script. I've modified the code here to make it a bit more extensible, and I've also removed the code running in the main section. The basic things are still there though. Get photo list, download photo, save photo, and our efficient parallel downloading code. They're all here. Let's write the setup.py file. All the magic happens in the setup function of Setuptools. Let's import that and use it. From Setuptools, we'll import setup. We'll start with the name. Flickr, download. We'll add a version, a description. We'll also specify a long description here, but we'll fill it in a bit later. We'll add the author, the license. We'll go into this a bit later. Classifiers. Classifiers are a list of strings that the Python package index can use to categorize your package better. You can find a complete list on the PyPI website. As you can see, I've specified here that I'm still in beta, my intended audience are developers, and that I have an MIT license for my code. We'll also add keywords that describe the project. Packages will describe what packages should be bundled in our project. You can use the Find Packages function from Setuptools to automatically find all packages. If you're using Setuptools, you need to specify this manually with all packages and sub-packages. Luckily, we're using Setuptools, and so we don't need to add them manually. So we'll import Find Packages and use it. Also, luckily, we only have one package to add, so it wouldn't have been a big deal anyway. Install requires is a list of packages that need to be installed for our package to work. We use requests, so we'll add it here. Pip will make sure to install requests whenever someone wants to install our Flickr downloader as well. It's also a good idea to specify some version restrictions for your dependencies to make sure that you use compatible versions. I would like to use requests for version more than 2. Lastly, we should also use Python requires to specify the Python versions that we support. We use this comparison operator to specify that we support any Python 3 version, but we don't support Python 4 or later yet. That's it for the setup.py file. We'll save it and close it. We'll add the README file next. At the minimum, you should add a short description of your package, installation instructions, and usage instructions. We also add here a short description of the license and some contact info, so that people know how to get in touch with me. The README file uses the Markdown format. If you're not familiar with Markdown, you should definitely check it out. You can write your text files using some very simple symbols, and your files can be exported to pretty much any rich text format, including HTML and Microsoft Word documents. It's quickly becoming the standard for README files and wikis across the web, so give it a shot, it's awesome. Since we already wrote this amazing README file, we can use it in our setup.py file to add it as a long description. We just read from our README file and dump the contents in our long description variable. So we're going to open our README file and dump all the contents in this variable. We also need to add the content type for this text so that Setuptools knows how to interpret it. We're using Markdown, so we write the corresponding content type in the long description content type argument. We've specified the license in the README file, so we'll add the required license file as well. The website choosealicense.com is an excellent resource to get a proper open source license for your project. If you have different licensing needs, you should seek some legal counsel. We'll choose the simple and permissive MIT license. This license basically allows anyone to do anything with your code as long as they give you credit and don't hold you liable. We'll copy the text and add it to our license file. We just have to replace the year and our name. We should also bundle our README and license files with our package, so we're going to add a manifest.in file. In this file, we'll use the include directive to include all markdown and text files and also our license file. So we're going to include markdown files, text files, in case we have any, and our license. That's it. We have all the necessary files for Setuptools to build and package our project. There are also some other things we can specify here, but as a minimum, you should have this information in place. To recap, in this video we've seen how to write the necessary files in order to use Setuptools to build, package, and distribute our Flickr downloader project. We've added a setup.py file with its corresponding setup method in place, a README file, a license file, and a manifest file.